Hey everyone, Sky here to discuss Solo, a Star Wars story, starring Alden Ehrenreich, Woody Harrelson, Emilia Clarke, Donald Glover, Tandy Newton, Paul Bettany, and Jon Favreau, and directed by Ron Howard. Welcome back to Star Wars, ladies and gentlemen. And I have been watching the previous movies that I've reviewed before I went to this new movie in the movie theaters in IMAX 3D. That was the only time I ever saw the movie. And I didn't take notes, but I have it by memory that I remember what happens in the movie. So let's get right into this. We open the movie off with a 17-year-old Han Solo who's with a 17-year-old Kira running away from a puppet worm slug-looking thing. I don't remember her name, so excuse me. Who abuses Han and Kira as young children as well as others, and Han and Kira run away together. In a spectacular chase to a train station when Kira gets captured and Han enlists as a soldier for the Empire, wanting to be a pilot. And my problem with that chase sequence is I can't understand what's happening during those sequences despite me having fun with it. I saw this movie in IMAX 3D and it hurt my eyes to death. Like, whatever you guys think about this movie, don't see it in 3D. Or whatever if I like the movie or not, please don't see this in 3D. Bottom line. 3 years later, in a war all grown up, Han Solo, played by Alden Ehrenreich, now, who surprisingly I've seen in Hail Caesar, Stoker and Beautiful Creatures, and Blue Jasmine. But my problem is that he's not as charismatic as Harrison Ford, who I thought would make a cameo in this movie, but didn't. I wasn't happy about that at all. But this guy is no Harrison Ford by a long shot. Not whatsoever. He goes up to a guy who's stealing from the Empire, Beckett, played by Woody Harrelson, who I like in this movie, but I have one little problem with Harrelson in this movie. I don't think he's a Star Wars fan. And he might have been talked into this movie, but I like his character. But his girlfriend and partner Val, played by Tandy Newton, is rather an unnecessary character because she has so little to do with her against Han. Her lines towards him was rather flat to me, but I do like his co-pilot Rio Durant, voiced by Jon Favreau, which I liked so much better here than in the later Avengers movies. I think the character is hysterical, but unfortunately underserved, as he gets shot pretty early in the film. At first, they put him in the trap where he meets Chewbacca, aka Chewie, and played by Juna Suotamo, who I find hilarious in this movie. But I like how he understands Chewie, because I always was curious about that. How did Han understand Chewie in the first place? Beckett has a plan to rob a train that has a hyperfuel-looking package, and Rio dies in that scene, and Val herself gets killed, and I was like, thank God, because I don't really like that character myself. But I wish Rio was still around by the end of this movie. But Han proves himself as a pilot, but the train heist, I can't see what's happening because my eyes are dizzy from the 3D. So, who's left in the squad? Han, Chewie, and Beckett, or Tobias Beckett, excuse me. Sorry for that, guys. Han, Chewie, and Tobias Beckett go to the hiding place and room with Drayton Voss, played by Paul Bettany, which, like Jon Favreau, I like here better than in the later Avengers movies, who's his assistant, Kira, grown up 3 years later and played by Emilia Clarke, who I don't watch Game of Thrones, but know her from Terminator Genisys and Me Before You. And I think she's incredibly attractive in this movie. And when she was on screen with other actors, my eyes were on her the entire time. Dryden asks of her to join Han, Chewie, and Beckett to steal the hyperfuel-looking package and to find a pilot who can fly a ship with them in it. And who is the pilot? Lando Calrissian, played by Donald Glover, who I reviewed in Spider-Man Homecoming. But he was also in The Martian with Matt Damon, when he plays poker with Han and beats him in the cheating kind of way, which I'll explain when I get to the end of this movie. Another underserved character here was L337, played by Phoebe Waller-Bridge, who I've seen in The Iron Lady and Goodbye Christopher Robin from last year, not the new one coming out with Ewan McGregor. But yeah, when they pulled that job, which I'll talk about in a second, she dies and I just don't care. She's not C-3PO and R2-D2 by a long shot. Also, I'm not sure of Donald Glover as Lando because the character was rather flat to me. And also, how does she have a crush on Lando? Or how do they have a romantic thing? Remind me of that. When they steal the hyperfuel looking package, our hero split up with Lando on the ship? Or should I say, the Millennium Falcon, which I think is a character in this movie. Beckett and Kira standing guard. Beckett does while Kira brings Han and Chewie to prison, and Han and Chewie look for a grabs 11 hyperfuel looking packages. And a battle breaks out with Kira and Beckett beating up security, and Chewie takes on the prisoner guards by kicking their ass. Excuse my French. And L337 dies, while the hyperfuel goes into the Millennium Falcon, which is Lando's ship. Until the end of this movie, that was the only action sequence I can follow. Yeah, I could follow this action sequence. Han drives the Millennium Falcon while Lando is depressed about L337, and the 3D in that scene hurt my eyes so badly. Like, I can't understand what's going on, and they escape the Empire in something I think is an octopus because of its arm. And they escaped that, so whether or not, if I like the movie, please don't see it in 3D like I said earlier. It just hurt me so bad. Lando, after they escape the Empire and the octopus, says to Han, I never want to see you again. Yeah, right, which that won't be true by the end of the movie. And some rebel warriors, or let me rephrase that, space pirates. Not from Rogue One, even though Rogue One didn't have space pirates. But they look like kids. They make a deal with our heroes to fight with Dryden, and Beckett ditches Han and Kira with Chewie, and Kira comes with Han and Chewie to deliver the hyperfuel. And when Dryden is disappointed to believe Beckett is dead and is unsatisfied with Han and Chewie bringing him to it alone. When Dryden says, bring him in here, I thought, please let it be Darth Vader, please let it be Darth Vader, please let it be Darth Vader. And as it turns out, it's Beckett, and Beckett takes the hyperfuel with him, and takes Chewie with him. That didn't make me happy as much. I also wasn't happy with Kira almost betraying Han for Dryden, and as Kira and Han fight Dryden, and Dryden gets shot, and Kira tells Han to get out of the hyperfuel, and she contacts who? Maul, or just give me a break. His name is Darth Maul, played by Ray Park and voiced by Sam Witwer. I wasn't surprised about that, nor was I happy with it either. I don't really watch the Clone Wars or the Rebels because that doesn't interest me as much. After the fight is done, Han goes up to Beckett and shoots him down, and I wasn't happy with the killing of the second best character. The first was Chewie, but because he's so funny. And they did not kill Chewie, thank God. And the hyperfuel goes to the rebellion kids, or the space pirates, and I was satisfied with that. Another thing I was satisfied was with the ending, where Han and Lando become friends and play one more game of poker, and Han winning the Millennium Falcon, fair and square, by the way. And how did Han win? He takes the card that Lando cheats at first and takes it for himself and wins the Millennium Falcon fair and square instead of Lando winning it again. And Han taking off with it was satisfying ending for this movie. It's like probably the best scene ever, maybe. Now it's time for the rating. I'll give this movie a 6.1 out of 10. It is better than Rogue One and The Last Jedi, and I really like Chewie, Kira, Beckett, and Jon Favreau in this movie, but it has problems with the other characters. And the action sequences hurt my eyes in 3D, so don't see it in 3D, please. But see this movie without the glasses, and for its entertainment, because it's very entertaining. And my point is, guys, it's an okay movie. It could have been a little bit better. That's why I give it that low of a rating, but... yeah, I would like to thank you guys for joining me, and also, please join my friend, the Mustang Oro Prince Reports, or Mustang Prince Oro Reports. I think that's the one. And look up his site and see some of his reviews. And because we reviewed this movie together as well, he and I did. And until next time, may the Force be with you, always.